what have I said no to because it just came up as like, it's not possible. I guarantee whatever that constraint is in your business, that could be the one constraint holding you back from growth or from taking the next step.
I need to get above the interactions where I'm generally looking at most new relationships as transactional, or I look at anything that I'm adding to the business as like very linear, black and white.
This is why I love hanging around people that are just confident, up to cool things, always growing. I've never gotten on a call with Casey where he didn't sound like he's a 10 out of 10 and just so stoked. It's almost kind of annoying. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, there's no way every day is this good. But he says you value where you spend your time, money, and energy.
Welcome to the Premium Mindset, the weekly podcast where homegrown entrepreneurs and business owners, Evan Ritchie and Cameron Bodden, share the good, the bad, and the ugly of modern entrepreneurship and reveal what really happens behind the scenes of their personal and professional lives. As owners of two of America's fastest growing and most disruptive companies, Coconut Cleaning and Green Mango Pest Control. Stay tuned for real stories, struggles, insight, and advice from real entrepreneurs in real time.
Okay, we're talking about the Casey Ball call today in review. And one of the things that stood out to me is he said the most valuable skill in business isn't money, isn't intelligence, but it's resourcefulness. That kind of shocked me a little bit. Right. Or connection. So he talked about money, connections, and what was the third one?
Oh, don't do this. Money, connection. Are you actually asking me? You already know it.
And intelligence. You're intelligent, man.
Oh, my bad. Well, because what I was surprised at is how long did you know he's going to be on the call?
Like the duration?
No, like, because I feel like you knew like a month in advance.
Yeah.
And then
maybe even a little bit more.
He like hops on and he's on FaceTime at a golf course. And I'm like, and he literally addresses it at the beginning. He's like, I'm currently golfing with like extremely high net worth, highly valuable people. But I wanted to make sure that I stuck with this call so that I could help. And then when he started out with that resourcefulness thing, I'm like, he's going to have to break that down. But I feel like you did a good job leading him along the way to kind of elaborate, because you said like, you really like the creative structure of his deals. And I feel like that's when he started to riff on how resourcefulness is more important than just like thinking, oh, well, this family has money or this person has these friends that's why they're successful. But it was very clear that Casey said that there's actually a much higher way of doing business, and it's actually getting creative and resourceful with what you have in your network as far as people and effort.
Yeah, and I think so I've only really gotten to know Casey the past year and a half, and it's probably one of the things that I admire the most about him is that he gets creative on how to put deals together. Yeah. And there's certain people in my life, and I'm sure you could say the same, where you just know people just kind of that they're just resourceful. And so when he started out with that, I was like, man, that is his recipe for success. And how cool, because I feel like I've started to become that way. Maybe if I'm rating myself on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably at like a 7 or an 8, but I used to be at a 2 or 3 because I just kind of a rule follower. Hey, right. You can't park here. Okay. But a guy like Casey's going to be like, well, how much is it to park there? Right. And I love that he shared that principle with entrepreneurs, because I feel like a lot of people, the stats are that 98% of companies are under $3 million. Most of the people are the people that are just dealing with problem after problem after problem, because that's why small businesses are so hard at the beginning, is because you have these problems that arise, and you're either going to say, hey, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but it's like these are detours or these are roadblocks. And what I heard, and I'm sure you heard something different, is that when Casey talks about being resourceful, it's seeing, hey, okay, I hear you, I can't park here, but what will it take? Yeah. And that's, that's a big part of what the call was about. And he was showing it with what he was doing. So his model, and he talked about it, is that, the way that he raises money is he's went out and bought 7 golf like memberships across the country, and however many millions and millions of dollars jet, and he invites investors to come out, and he wines and dines them for 2 or 3 days, gets to know them and introduces deals to them, and most of the time they like Casey, they like the deal, and they have money to invest, and so it's just a recipe for success. Well, he committed to me, I think it was over a month and a half ago, to be on this call.
Oh, wow.
And originally we try and keep the call on Wednesdays at 11 o'clock, right? But he was like, hey, and I don't know what happened on Wednesday, can I do it on Thursday? And I'm going to be on the course, but I'll step out for you. And like, to me, like, he probably spent $60,000-$70,000 on that trip between jet fuel and staging and all that stuff. And, for him to take out an hour and a half out of his day to be on the golf course, find the Wi-Fi, because a lot of these courses don't have the best service. Right. Like, it was just a testament, like, hey, he's still going to do what needs to get done. And I think it's a great lesson for entrepreneurs, is that you can do whatever you want to do. You just have to get resourceful. And that's what Casey really talked about.
Was it you that brought it up, or what, were you saying that he referenced the Rich Dad Poor Dad thought process?
No, he brought it up.
He brought it up.
And I read that book a long time ago.
It's probably 13, 14 years for me. I haven't read it in a long time. And it was the summary of like, hey, rich or poor dad thinks I can't afford it. Rich dad thinks, how can I afford it? Because I feel like for me in entrepreneurship, like, I've always had you as my partner the last 8.5 years. And so I've seen you, in my mind, get creative. And then when you meet new people and you're like, dude, these people are just so much more creative. So, to people listening to this that often think like, man, I'd like to be in those networks of people, or I'd like to be in those circles. To Cameron's point about like how Casey's saying like, well, hey, how do I park there? I think the applications that I immediately started with right after that call was, I generally view things as black and white. In what it looks like for me is like,
because you grew up being a rule follower,
yes,
right?
Very much a rule follower.
Like, I think of your son versus my son.
Yep.
And I'm not saying good or bad,
Right.
but like, that's how we were raised. That's how I was raised. And
Yep.
I think that's how a lot of people listening to this podcast are raised.
Right.
And so I don't know, keep going. But I think that's the problem, is we just hear it and it's like, oh no, okay, we can't do that.
That's exactly on point. Cause I feel like what it translates into is like, let's say I call HubSpot to start, getting their software and their resources, right? I call them because I want a place for my leads to land in my CRM. They say, yep, we could do that. We sign the contract. And then all of a sudden, a year or two later, I'm signing up for a phone software, and it's $100,000 for 2 years. And we signed a 2-year contract. And then HubSpot, as we're on the phone with them, they said, hey, just asking, why don't you guys use our phone line that comes with your account? I'm like, say that again, right? So here's what I took from that call with Casey, was that I need to get above the interactions where I'm generally looking at most new relationships as transactional, or I look at anything that I'm adding to the business as like very linear, black and white. And what I learned quickly from Casey was that I need to get above it and to say, okay, before I sign up, I need to make another SOP. Before I sign up for another software, I'm going to have this line of questions I'm going to ask the person I'm signing up with, like, what other services and benefits do you guys offer outside of what we're talking about? And it seems small, but when you think about, I signed up for a phone line that was $100,000 for all of our people to be on it, and HubSpot said, it just comes with your account. And I'm like, no, but we have like 15 people working. They're like, yeah, you could have up to 30 people. I'm like, okay. So that's a very one-way application. But to me, when I was listening to him, I'm like, man, I need to stop looking at everything as so like, I'm trying to recruit door knockers right now. And they're like, hey, one guy's like, hey, I took $10,000 from this company to go work for them. And in my mind, I'm like, dang, okay, all right.
Yeah.
But then I was like, no. I'm like,
Good.
What if you knock with us and earn commissions fast enough, and instead of taking the commission, we'll pay it off, or we'll give you the commission, but you'll write something here right now that you'll pay it off and stay with us.
Yeah.
And he's like, deal, done. I'm like,
okay,
cool.
Yeah.
It's working.
When we were prepping for this, like one story came to mind. I don't know if you've heard this or not, but probably it's going to make me sound like an entitled little rich kid, but I'm going to tell it because probably about year 3 or 4. So when we first went to my dad, hey dad, will you invest 5% for us? I think it was $75,000. We kept going back to him because the door program, we didn't know what we were doing, and the door program was more expensive than we thought. And it ended up, we were at $225,000 and he took 20% of the company. So every time we borrowed more money, we gave him more equity. Well, there was a point where I went to my dad and we were growing so fast that we needed more vehicles. It's a huge constraint that most, business owners, well, the fortunate ones, if
Right.
face is that, hey, we're growing so fast that we need more vehicles. And I remember going to my dad, it was in the middle of the summer, which is Green Mango's busy season. I'm like, hey dad, we need another $4,000 or something like that for a down payment on a Kia Soul. And he just looked at me, he's like, I'm done, like no more. And I remember that day, like actually being pretty pissed off at my dad because I was like, dude, what's your problem, man? Like, bro, like we're freaking going here. And this isn't like, oh, I need a new car because like I want to look cool. We need to take care of our customers. Like we have people coming in, and I'll never forget him saying, hey, I'm done, go figure it out. And we went and figured it out. We sold some stuff and we were able to scrap together $4,000. And I'll never forget like coming back to him and him saying, good job. And it was just kind of like, hey, well, thanks for nothing, man. And it sounds bad. Like I look back and like definitely could have done it without my dad's capital investment. I'm grateful for that. But at the moment, like that was serious for me. That was serious for Green Mango, that we couldn't afford it. And because we wanted to keep growing, we had to get that car. And it was, hey, how do I go afford this down payment? How do we get approved? What do we need to do? Okay, we can sell this item, we can sell that item. And we just got resourceful. And if you're listening to this podcast, I just encourage you to sit back right now and say, hey, what have I said no to because it just came up as like, it's not possible. Go figure. I guarantee whatever that constraint is in your business, that could be the one constraint holding you back from growth or from taking the next step. And so go figure out a way to be resourceful and get around that thing. And so that's the first thing that Casey really talked about. And then he mentioned something about his big exit. And he's proud of this story, and I would be too if I was him, because he shared it to me like within the first couple months that I met him. But he talked about how Vivint paid him $1.5 million to go away. And at first I was like, dang, you must have been a pain in the butt. But then it was like to go away and not compete.
And
when I thought about that, I was like, wow, imagine being so powerful that your competitor would pay you for 5 years, $1.5 million per year to just not set up shop across the street. What did he do to create that much value within Vivint that they are like, hey, please don't?
I just had an experience with franchisees because Cameron and I are still building a national company. And I was able to illustrate to them how important it is to stay on top of their leads, that before they pass it off to a family member, that they need to have the SOPs that we already have. So it's clear, the stats are out there. Franchising is an accelerator for you to not only start a business, but to be able to grow at a pace that just starting a regular company, you just can't do. So if you're interested in franchising with us at Coconut Cleaning and you want to jump into a system that's ready to go, click the link below and we'd love to talk to you soon. I feel like the smaller thought when I thought of that was like, who here works here that if they left, I would just see it being like, if they left and competed against, like, who would I not want to compete against? And it's like the 3 people that I thought of, I'm like, I need to go to them and say like, thank you for being like an A player here. And I straight up told them, I just said, hey, like I had this thought while being on this call that.
Oh, really?
That's cool. I said, if we were to like compete against each other, I don't, not saying that like, oh, because we were friends,
but
well, that's why I did preface. That was the ego part. But I said like, I just need you to know that like I value your resources and your input here.
I'm
to
sure
where
that meant a ton.
If we were to compete against each other, I just thought like it'd be a miserable experience. And so to each of them, I just said,
you want to say those? You don't have to say those.
No,
names?
I don't.
Okay,
Just because
okay.
like
you don't want to put out
know
there
a lot
who
of,
they are.
I know a lot of, if they didn't get the text.
Smart, man. Smart.
But the thought was like, okay, what do those people do that I could replicate in a structural system? And so it was actually with this call where in the monthly, just a couple days later, I interjected that once a month I'm going to start holding a leadership and master communicator course that teaches the behaviors and attributes of these people, because I thought of that principle of like, hey, a lot of entrepreneurs are like, man, what if I pour into these people, I train them and they just leave? But the worst thought is what if you don't and they stay?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm currently creating an entire structure around these people that just have an amazing work ethic here, but also they have, I think, teachable behavioral traits that, similar to Casey, that if I were to pour into them and invest into them, they were to follow through, I think they'd be a force of reckoning inside the organization, but also externally, I think they'd be hard to compete against. I want to create more of them.
Yeah. The other thing that I thought about is Todd brought Casey into his office and said, hey, we're going to take this company public and you're not going to like it. You're not going to like the changes.
Yeah, I didn't understand.
Yeah. So like either Casey's so ingrained, like the only thing I could think of is like the main reason why I didn't want to stay around for and be an employee to Pesco, but main reason why they probably don't continue to pay me consulting agreements because they don't agree with how I ran Green Mango from like a ultra premium standpoint. And that's not to say they're not premium now, but they've just done things differently, with power sprayers and different stuff like that I just don't agree on. But like, I wonder if Casey had certain things where he's like, dude, it's non-negotiable. And Todd probably had those things too. And this is what I'm realizing even with Pesco is like, hey, but in order to take that next step, we have to do these things. I understand like you don't believe in it. So here's your paycheck, go away. But just imagine being a guy in an organization, or who do you need to become, or how can you train? I loved you're training your people to become those guys that they literally will not budge on the line to even like, hey, we're going public. We want you to be part of it. And you're like, no, I will not. I will not do whatever it is. Right. I don't know what it is, and please don't set up shop. Here's a salary every year.
Right. And I think to, the regular business owner listening to this, like you statistically, you're probably not going to be a Vivint, right? Where you can afford to do something like that. But I think I think the principle is that you continue to structure and work with your people in a way that increases the value of your company, because you have a bunch of A players that are leading in their departments, they're leading in their organization, and they're leading in a way that actually helps you get closer to whatever your finish line is. Because I think one of the things that kind of ruffles my feathers that you say now post-exit, which is like, I know you're working towards building Coconut to be sellable, but like when you get there, you'll decide, but like, I don't think you should. And when he said all that, when he was like, okay, look, like we were building Vivint, we did all this, they took some private equity, but it's like, you don't even, what he say? Like, you don't even have to do that as business owners. Like you have to be focused on creating the best life for you and the best life for your people. And that generally is done when you have a very healthy and profitable company. But I'm like, why do these guys who make these big exits, who are from a position of authority where you're listening to them say this, like, why do they frequently say like, you probably won't want to exit, or you probably shouldn't exit? And I can't answer that question. You can, but that's something that he hit on again. And I'm like, so all the guys out there that talk to us that are in the 1% club, or that message us about like franchising and then like, hey, I'd want to exit in 5 years, just know that like what is the most important thing is becoming an entrepreneur and a leader inside your organization that makes your business extremely sellable, profitable, but you put yourself in the position where you don't have to if you don't want to, is generally my takeaway.
Well, that's one of the things that he said is act like equity will never pay out and build the business anyway.
Well, I didn't understand that. Is that more about the exit?
What he's saying is like a lot of people make the excuse that I don't make money today, and that's okay because I'm going to build it I'm like, I have
Gotcha.
equity in the business. And how many times have I fought with a partner over equity and then ended up selling the company for, to break even? And like, I think back, like those conversations never even mattered.
Right.
And what mattered is, hey, go build your business as if equity doesn't matter. Meaning, how can we go be as profitable as we can be, not caring about our equity in the long run? Because that's, if we build coconut,
gotcha.
and this is me kind of answering your question with the phrase that he gave, is that if we can truly build coconut to be this 80 franchise location, Arizona's killing it, doing $20 million in rev.
Yep.
We have our average franchisee doing $3 million, and we're making our spread that we do 6%.
Yeah.
Like, that's just an amazing cash flow business. Because what I'm learning now is that I don't want to go out down this tangent, but in order to regain that cash flow from your exit, like it's just risk versus reward. You want 14, 18, 20%. You want to double your investment, your principal. There's going to be risk there. If you want a safe investment, sure, that's there, but you're going to make 8 to 10%.
Right.
And so there's just trade-offs, and you have to go manage that money in it, and that's a full-time job to manage the money that you make. Where if you have this beautiful machine that's cash flowing you, as long as you know your number of where you want to be, like, there's benefits to all of it, but you can also hire out people too. But
I think it's a great segue into the principle that I think it's funny that we all heard the same thing, but when we were talking pre-podcast, and so when we were making the podcast, like I really like when we can structure these things out to make sure that you guys get like the exact principles that we'd like to share. But like, jokes aside, when you listen to someone like Casey and you start writing things down, like it is these kind of statements that really stick out to you, because now I can have a good laugh about it. Cause like I shared what I got from it and you're like, I actually got this. So he said, know if you want to be rich or if you want to be king. And my immediate interpretation,
there's no right answer.
Right. So my immediate interpretation was like,
I want to be both.
Yeah. The door-to-door guys want to be rich, right? They want the high contract deals, the high payouts. They're going to work really hard for the summer and they're going to make a lot of money and they're going to be rich, right? My idea of the king at the time was like, a king, I know like in movies, it generally starts with the castle's already built and everything's already there laid out. And then the movie portrays the guy's rich and everything. But I thought of more so the king that like looks at the barren land and says, this is where we're going to build. And I'm going to get these people to work and help build this beautiful structure that's going to take decades. But I know that long term, for my prosperity, and for everyone else, it's best if we do this now. And there's not going to be a lot of happiness now, but down the road there will be. And so in my mind, I took that as that's the entrepreneur.
That's so funny.
Right? And so you were like...
Yeah, so, I mean, even when you're saying the salesman, it's like, dude, the salesman's, not either of us.
Right.
Like, he's,
Right.
well, because... And again, whether it's right or wrong, you took it your way, which is great. I took it my way, which the rich guy is creating the systems, the processes, the sellability factor of, hey, this is a turnkey business. There's no key man risk here. And then there you'll sell it for hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's the rich guy. The king, and Casey said this, you're hiring your brother-in-law that you probably shouldn't hire. You're putting the expenses like gas on the company. You're putting the new razor, the new boat, you're just expensing it, which creates a horrible balance sheet, which is going to get you your lowest multiple. But that's the king. Like everyone looks up to you and you're the guy that's supporting the family and buying this and buying that. And again, Casey was like, dude, there's no wrong answer, whether you want to be rich or you want to be a king. But I've never heard that analogy or that principle taught in business. And I don't know, it was eye-opening for me for sure. If you're listening to this podcast right now and you're loving what we're talking about, but you're still confused of where to go and how to accomplish it, that's exactly why we started the 1% Club. We go through playbooks that teach you exactly how to do it and when to do it. And so I want you to click the link below that talks about the 1% Club and want you to join with us.
Right. And so when a guy like Casey says, hey, Cam, like, you have investments with me, you get to have these personal interactions. When he's sharing with you, to me, I took it as like, this is something that he really wants me to hear, because I feel like he's extremely tactical and intentional about what he shares. And so I don't know how many questions you ended up getting prior to the call.
Dude, there's a lot.
Did he go through like 4?
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible. I appreciate everyone that responded on the app. So in the 1% Club, we have our own app that we created, and it's absolutely phenomenal. The chat within that group is just, I love it, dude. It pops off every single day now. It's really rewarding to see. Everyone's like, yeah, rewarding to see. And we're like, hey, submit your questions. And like, it just started coming in like crazy, which is really cool. But we weren't able to get to most of them.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm elaborating on, is that like, he didn't just hear, oh, how do I make my business profitable? And he's like, oh, decrease expenses and increase production. Everything was very, I would say like 5 to 7 minutes per question. And when he shared something like that, what I enjoy is that if I could go even as far as like, that's kind of how Christ taught, as he taught in parables that allowed other people to make their own applications of what's being taught.
That's cool.
So I'm like, okay, like this is what I'm getting, but not only this is what I'm hearing, but also like I kind of felt this reinforcement of what I'm doing, where it's like, okay, I am building the castle. It's like we are investing a lot into the structure and the organization. And then I have these door-to-door guys that come into my office and they're like, yeah, how can I make like $500K in the summer? I'm like, dude,
you and me both.
Yeah, man, like that. Let me know. But
no, you said you have to do this.
Yeah, it affirmed the mindset, right? And I think that leads us into, there's the last one, right?
Intentional.
Yeah,
and that's probably the main thing that I learned from Casey this past year and a half, is how intentional he is with his morning routines, with his journaling, his weekly planning, his sauna, his ice bath sessions. And when I think about whining and dining with what he does from like a golf perspective and jets, like that's a lot of being intentional. Who am I going to invite on this trip? Who are they going to invite? What deals are we going to bring them? And so he's very calculated, and you can look at that as like, like that's kind of a turnoff, or you can just look at it as like, wow, like he knows what he wants. He knows where he wants to be. And one of the things that he talked about is having an unshakable balance sheet. He wants to not ever worry about finances, and he has his number, whatever it might be. I don't know, but he has his number, and he's created a path. The how is the jet and the golf course. And he just keeps funneling that, that funnel of people and trips. He's on a trip once a week, a couple times a week. It's pretty crazy.
I guess when I heard something like that, it reawakened me to realize like I'm playing small. If this guy who has discussed his like exit money from Vivint, on top of being paid $1.5 million for 5 years, on top of just like, he's doing great. And he even mentioned it, a deal that he's getting paid out on that he invested in 14 years earlier. And when he says like, I'm still trying to make my finances unshakable, I'm like,
yeah,
the average American household has like under $1,200 in their savings account. I'm like, dude, we're muffed. Like, well, it's like, if that's my avatar, if that's my customer, it's like, I went back to the drawing board. It's like, how can we provide more value? And it's getting intentional for like, not only myself, which I look forward to talking about in another episode, because it's something that I feel like I've consistently kicked against simultaneously knowing that I'm not doing it right, which is, regardless of what's going on, I'm going to stay true to like this gym structure, this one-on-one structure with my employees, this structure with date night. I think where I fall short a lot when I think of effort is like, oh man, if like Kate brings up like, hey, I just feel like you've been working really hard, I'd love a little bit more attention. It's like, I drop everything for 2 days and I'm like, let's go up north, let's do this. And then it's
back to nothing.
Right. It's just this like, it's like, man, I just need that more. I need to be more intentional with where I put my focus. And when you see someone like Casey living like that, you start to realize that it really just stems back to actually planning it out and then following through very small and simple goals. And then you'll look back 10 years later and you're going to have something special.
One thing that Casey talked about that wasn't anything new, but this is why I love hanging around people that are just confident, up to cool things, always growing. I've never gotten on a call with Casey where he didn't sound like he's a 10 out of 10 and just so stoked. It's almost kind of annoying. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, there's no way every day is this good. But he says you value where you spend your time, money, and energy.
Right.
And that's what you value. And I just think it's really cool. Like yesterday he called me, and I hope I can share this, but I was like, what's up, man? He's like, what's up, brother? How you doing? You know, just in Cabo. I'm like, what? That sounds fun, man.
Right.
Let me tell you, like, let me walk you through my day so far. Woke up at 5, did the journal, 6, did the ice bath, raised $6 million for Utah City deal, hit the golf course at 9, hit the golf course again with the kids at 11. And then one of the biggest takeaways from the episode.
I know what you're going to say. I know exactly what I had. Like
had
3
sex
people.
with the missus.
Yeah.
I'm just like, sounds like the trifecta, man. But like literally, if you called him today, put him on speakerphone, he'd be in a new place doing the same thing, just high on life. And I think that's really cool. He's been resourceful to create a life that he loves. And I'm sure nothing's ever as perfect as it seems, but
and he brought
that up, which was cool. But the fact is he said, look, I want to go make a lot of money. I want to enjoy what I do. How can I do it? And he was resourceful in what he created. And it's been really, like, they've raised almost $1 billion in, I think, the last 5 years. It's pretty crazy.
I don't even know Casey like you do, but I'd be willing to make a bet that it wasn't the payouts that made him this way. I feel like there were some people in his life, like, is it Todd Peterson?
Mm-hmm.
I think there were some influential people in his life that probably lived that way, to where there's that old adage of, like, to become who you want to be, you must consistently be who you want to become. I feel like and I could be totally wrong here, but I get that feeling that he started to live a life of gratitude and started recognizing the small wins, started being more intentional about not looking for money in the short term, but also trying to position himself and protect his family long term. And then as he put in the day-to-day effort executing on the weekly planning and all that, that's where he started to look back and to say, look, this guy is something special. He's doing something special. And I think that's the highlight for all of us. Or me, I'd say you're a lot closer to that life, because I feel like 4 years ago you started to say that. Or is it 3 years ago? You just started to say, I have the best life. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? You're like, I have the best life. And I'm like, okay, like, lunch was good. Like, everything, like, lunch was good. But, like, you just started saying that. And then now I feel like, it's not that I didn't believe you at that time, because I knew of all the stresses and all that, but it's like you were putting it out there that, like, even right now I have the best life. And so now when I hear you say it, it's easier to digest with everything you've been through, to, like, truly say, like, you believe that to your core.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great message for everyone else out there who's like, well, I'm not Cameron, I'm not Casey.
Yeah.
What's the application for me?
Well, I'll say this now that you just said that, so that we can relate to people. Is like, when I started saying that, I was probably in the worst time of my life. And so I was trying to just lie to myself. Yep. And I think there's a lot of power in that. And that's why I'm so passionate about daily affirmations and doing that. One of the things in closing here that I think is really funny. Do you remember why he said he had success? Like, one of the things?
No.
It was like, really, like, he said, I have a low EQ.
Yeah.
He's like,
which sucked.
I just asked people, like, hey, will you finance me this? Yeah. You're like, I'm supposed to pay you the money, but will you turn around and just finance me your buyout? And I just think it's funny, man. If you just that's the topic of the podcast, right? If you're just resourceful in what you do. Well, what did you think I was going to say?
If you are I'm like, no. I was like, what are you about to say? No. I'm allowed to, but
I don't know what you're talking about. Anyways, be resourceful in your business. Hope you guys appreciated this podcast. If you did like it, make sure you show Evan some love and like and subscribe to it, because I don't care.
We're not finishing with that. I feel like that closing message is like perfect.
Okay. Oh, wait, you're going to follow the script?
Oh my goodness. Could you work with him after today? Oh, I'm like,
thanks, Shannon.
She got her headphones on.
Go ahead. Do you want to say it?
It says Cam, so I don't
really like that line, honestly.
So if you're hearing all this and maybe you were even on the 1% call, like that's what I'd also say too, if I could just give a little shout out to Cameron, is that,
oh, thanks, man. Jeez.
is that since his exit, I've seen you, I think you knew Casey before, pre-exit, but like I've seen you get in the rooms with billionaires and people that are just doing big things. And I think probably the most consistent thing that I've seen with the people with whom you are in the room with, they are the people that have accomplished the pinnacles of success, and they're also family people. Like I seldomly see you in rooms where it's like just some guy who's like 40, 50, maybe he's a billionaire, but like he doesn't have a family, wife, maybe he's had 5 wives. Like I just haven't seen that. Maybe
Tommy's the only guy, but he's wanting to have a family soon.
Like he always talks about being a dad, and he's got Bree that he's committed to, and I think that's so cool. But I think the common entrepreneur wants that life. You want to have the family, you want to have the business, and you want to live a life that is strategic. And I think that what gets in the way is the daily obstacles that just show themselves, and you do your best being the firefighter that you are, and then you go home and you try to put on your best face for the family. And I know how that feels. I know that Cameron knows how that feels. But a lot of the people that we're talking about are people that have said like, look, I've been there. There's a higher way of doing things. And if you live by these principles, you can get there too, proportional to whatever effort that you want to put in. So the 1% Club, I just keep seeing Justin Prince, Casey Baugh. I know a few others that you're going to have on there, that if you want to be a part of a community where people who are likely to have accomplished, or they are at the highest pinnacle you want to go to, are going to be in it and interacting. I saw Casey has a login too of 1% Club and everything, which is cool. Like just knowing that he could be in there hearing what all of us are going through, is that living a life by design is as far away as when you just start doing it and doing the thing. And the 1% Club allows you to be more strategic in how you can create that life by design. And then once you start seeing the playbooks, you start seeing that the life that you want to live isn't as far as you think it is. And it's just about doing some small and simple things that will get you there over 6 months, over a year, over 2 years. But nonetheless, like it will get you there. So I hope you've appreciated this podcast where we've simply just recapped. We didn't even like show the clips of the call, but we've recapped the call. So if you have benefited from these things, or you want to be a part of something bigger and something more than just opening up your YouTube, one, you can like and subscribe. You can go to hypefarm.com or Cameron's Instagram, and you can join the 1% Club. And if you are not an entrepreneur yet, but you want to be, you can also go to our franchising page, and you can look into our systems and look and see how our franchisees are reaching $1 million and beyond, and they're creating beautiful, profitable businesses. So that's what the Premium Mindset
Coconut
is all about.
Cleaning website.
Yeah, it's a link in what we attach in the YouTube. So I say franchising websites, Coconut Cleaning Co, coconutcleaningco.com/franchising. But we're going to continue to provide this value, provide this information so that you can better yourself, because that's all we want to do is just share what's worked for us.
You just did a cool launch with coconut gear, or like you just showcased the swag, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we do like free swag for anyone that likes and comments on the Premium Mindset Coconut?
Look, so if you have watched this episode and a few other episodes and you have not subscribed yet, we are giving 3 random people who like, comment, and subscribe to this episode our newest swag box with our newest line of apparel, which you can also see in another YouTube video of ours. So like, comment, and subscribe, and in 2 weeks, we're going to select the 3 random people to send you that swag box.